What's something you saw as a kid but didn't realize was messed up until you were older? Every Sunday, my dad would take me to visit Grandpa Joe at the special apartment building. That's what we called it. It had long hallways with doors that needed special cards to open them. The whole place smelled like hospital soap. Grandpa Joe's room was tiny, just a bed, a chair, and a small TV. I thought all grandpas lived in places like this when they got old. Dad would hand me a bag of Werther's candies to give to Grandpa Joe. His hands would shake when he opened it, and I'd help him unwrap each one. Sometimes Grandpa Joe would forget my name mid-conversation. "You're John's boy, right?" he'd ask, even though my dad's name is Michael. Dad would just nod and say, "That's right, Pop. I thought this was just what happened when you got old. You started mixing up names and stories." The nurses always smiled extra big when they saw me. "Oh, look who's here," they'd say. "You're a special visitor." They'd bring Grandpa Joe an extra pudding cup when I came. I thought I was just his favorite grandkid. When Grandpa got confused or upset, Dad would motion for me to show him my latest toy or tell him about school. It always calmed him down. I thought I had some kind of magic touch that made Grandpa happy. One day, we arrived, and Grandpa Joe was having what Dad called a bad day. He kept asking where his wife was. "Mom's been gone for 10 years, Pop," Dad said quietly. Grandpa Joe started crying, like he was hearing this for the first time. I didn't understand why Dad would say something so upsetting. I whispered, "Why did you tell him that? Now he's sad." Dad just looked at me with tired eyes. The strangest thing was when Grandpa would sometimes talk about people from his job at the factory, like they had just happened. "Tell Bill I'll be in tomorrow just fighting a cold," he'd say to the nurse. Everyone would just nod along. I thought adults were just weird like that. I was 11 when I noticed the sign by the front desk for the first time, Memory Care Unit. I asked Dad what that meant on our drive home. He was quiet for a moment, then said, "Grandpa has Alzheimer's, buddy. His brain is sick, and he forgets things." "Like what things?" I asked. "Sometimes everything," Dad said. "Sometimes he doesn't remember Mom died. Sometimes he doesn't know who I am." That's when I realized why the nurses were so nice to me, why Dad always brought me along, why Grandpa lit up when he saw me, even when he wasn't sure of my name. For 5 years, I had been the only grandchild to visit. My cousins stopped coming when Grandpa stopped recognizing them, but I didn't know Grandpa before he got sick, so I never expected him to remember me perfectly. I just knew he was happy when I was there. Last week, I took my own son to meet his great-grandpa Joe for the first time. Grandpa doesn't talk much anymore, but when my 5-year-old climbed into his lap and offered him a Werther's candy, Grandpa smiled and whispered, "You're John's boy, right?" My dad looked at me, eyes watering. I just nodded and said, "That's right, Grandpa." Sometimes the most messed up things are also the most beautiful, like how my dad never corrected Grandpa about who I was, letting him believe I was someone from his fading memories if it made him happy. How I'd been the medicine Grandpa needed most, without even knowing it, and now my son would be that for him too, in Grandpa's final days.